do it every time. I have to do a sound effect. Hello, everyone. Welcome to A Fistful of Dice. My name is Matt, and you are watching Session 10 of Paladins. This is our first game after the holidays. I hope that everyone's doing well and everyone had a good holiday, Happy New Year, all that. And we've just got a couple sessions left of this campaign here, so things are ramping up. We're officially like in the third act of this thing now, and things are really coming to a head. So I'm going to do a quick recap, and then we're just going to jump right into the action. So last time, it was a big exposition dump, and so I'm gonna just kind of hit on the high points here, the really important, pertinent stuff, just to keep it as simple as possible. But the Paladins headed to the world of Agonor, which was this mostly ocean-dominated world with volcanic islands, where the coordinates were said to lead to Warwick, a secret Neo-Dominion military installation and the supposed second site of Project Halberd, which obviously gave birth to the Paladins here. The Paladins snuck into Warwick, the installation, by way of the ocean, sneaking into an exhaust vent, and then disembarking their Mecha and going on foot from there. They first, this is actually something I forgot about until just this moment, and so I'm adding it into the recap ad hoc, but they found in a hangar bay Paladin frames, unadorned, just the frames, just the sort of like inner skeleton of these mecha, and there they found plans for not only Paladin Warhawk, but 4 others: Paladin Waltz, Triad, Void, and Hail. Luckily, they managed to destroy these plans or otherwise remove them from the computer. And then from there, the Paladins split up, with Tulip and Mattie heading to the data archives, Zasha and Mora heading to the genetics chamber, and Pax going off on his own to do some sleuthing. Tulip and Mattie in the data archives accessed video logs detailing Project Halberd from the perspective of director Saxifrage. They were shocked to find out that not only is Mora confirmed to be a clone and a genetic twin of Falk, otherwise known as Paladin Warhawk, but also that potentially Tulip is a clone of Saxifrage and her grandmother, which may in fact be her genetic progenitor, Tulip Cho, the original. They found out that the initial Project Halberd was taken from Saxifrage and Tulip, and they fled Warwick with 2 of the clones to reestablish elsewhere. In the genetics chamber, Zasha and Mora uncovered some additional information about the original Project Halberd, including failed cloning attempts, both old and recent, and genetic data on all of the Paladins that came via our friend from Nova Locus, the governor there. They deleted this data and also drained the... Let me be clear. It was not Zasha that did this, but Mora drained all the liquid from the tubes and potentially put an end to all of that. Pax interrogated a pair of scientists that he came upon in the installation and learned that Paladin Warhawk was being pushed to his limits inside a simulator to try and unlock what the scientists referred to as perfect synchronization with the Geist system. Wasn't long after that this 4th clone, the clone of Saxifrage, someone we know to be called Calypso now, arrived at Warwick, and the intruder alert was triggered, leaving our Paladins separated and outside of their Mecha. And that is where we left them last time. Did I forget anything? Is there anything else that we should add in here? Oh, the romper. Maddie's wearing a romper and has a katana. Is there anything else that I forgot?
What else is there to say?
Realistically, what else matters?
Yeah.
I remember there was something special about the way that they were approaching the Geist system, or that they had, or they were doing something different with their Geist system, or is that just the perfect synchronicity that they're trying to
So they're not doing anything different with the Geist system, but it was something of note in the video logs. Saxifrage mentioned that the clone known as Calypso achieved perfect synchronization as like a child, as like a young kid. And we also found out that the only other Paladin to achieve perfect synchronization is our own Mattie Jai.
Awesome.
But I think
that was a back-ended way to get a compliment, I guess.
There you go. No, I appreciate that. I appreciate the lengths to which you went. But I think that about sums it up. So we can go ahead and roll into this next session. The klaxons blare through the corridors and chambers of the top secret military installation known as Warwick. The flashing lights lend an almost strobe-like effect to the entire space. We hear, coming down one of these corridors, the thud of boots, and we see dozens of uniformed and armored guards running down the hallway. Up on the crest of this volcano. Oh, that's right. I forgot to mention Warwick is housed inside of an active volcano. There was that thing too. That seems important. At the crest of this volcano where this landing pad is, there's this drop ship there. And down the ramp strides Calypso, this mirror of Saxifrage, but younger. Her uniform is crisp and tight, and her hair is pulled back into a severe braid at the back of her head. Her eyes sweep across the landing pad at the disembarking guards as they funnel into the station. Her mecha is being prepared, her Paladin suit. She knows that it'll be ready shortly. But as she stands there, hands clasped behind her back, she wonders, is today the day? Is today the day she gets to see her siblings again? The ones that she lost. And is today the day that they make the decision? The one that will determine if they get to join her or if they die here on Aginor. She takes a breath and eases it out, a breathing exercise that she learned from Tulip, one of her mothers. She looks back into the dropship and she sees this shadowed figure of Falk sitting there. She says, "Are you ready? Or am I doing this on my own?" He stands, and as he steps into the light, we see the scar across his face, barely healed, stitched together from his duel with Mora. Falk looks at Calypso and gives her a brief nod. His eyes are hollow and sunken, his face gaunt. He looks as though he hasn't slept or eaten in days, and yet he stands tall. And with the resolve of his training, he says, "Together, sister. Inside Warwick, the klaxons blare, and we see Mora, that same face, but different. Mora, you and Zasha are moving quickly down one of these corridors as the alarm sounds all around you. What are you thinking? What's going through your mind as you move down the corridors, trying to reconvene with the rest of your squad?
The flashing lights and the klaxons bear a striking resemblance to the on-foot training modules that the pilots were subjected to during training. The out-of-mech virtual reality simulators. He sees a flash and he's in a passageway, and a virtual guard, a virtual stormtrooper, so to speak, pops up and it's done immediately. And then he glances down the hallway and there's Zasha, and he remembers in this moment, Mora remembers, this isn't a drill.
And Zasha, you have just left this genetics chamber, just seen really the extent, the foundation upon which Project Halberd is built. What is going through your mind? How are you reacting to all of this as you move down the corridor with Mora beside you?
Zasha is at home in her mech, Avalanche. And together, the two of them make Paladin Neon. Apart, she feels like a turtle outside of its shell. She feels exposed, like a raw nerve sticking through concrete, ready to be stepped on. She doesn't even have her space helmet on that she sometimes uses to hide her expressions and snap away the world through its embossed amber color. It's just this warp, warp, and bright lights flashing everywhere. She looks back at Mora, and for just that split second, all this trauma has started bubbling up, all this violence and this incredible suffering. She sees those things in those tubes that she pretended to not see again. And she knows that whatever the hell is going on here is far more than she's probably prepared for. But that's what the training did. She sees how Moira's moving down the corridor, checking left, checking right, overlapping fields of fire, and the training kicks in and carries her. That is all she has to hold on to, is the training.
A few floors away, Pax is racing from Calypso's office. And Pax, as you are moving down the corridor, you hear boots approaching around one corner. How do you react as you hear guards approaching?
You said I'm moving away or to her office?
I'm sorry, to. Did I say away? I meant to. You're moving up to her office.
If I hear boots coming down the hall, I would immediately try to find some place to hide, maybe a vent or something that I can easily position myself in and let them pass.
Go ahead and give me let's do a stealth if you have that, with on foot or just mobility.
Make this so I can actually read it. Yes, okay. And stealth just gives me an extra 2, right?
Yeah, it adds 2 to the DC basically, so you have an easier time of rolling under.
I got a 1, so critically succeed.
Yeah. What does that look like? Go ahead and describe what a critical sneak looks like for Pax.
if you would allow it, I would like to believe that like, and like going in as they're like getting closer, and I'm kind of like panicking. Pax finds a vent that he goes into, and as he's like crawling through it, allowing them to pass, he realizes that this vent is like connected to her office in some way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you kind of realize this, and you move through the vent, and popping out the other side, you find yourself in a simple, Spartan, but nice-looking office. It's not huge by any means, but there is a large window that kind of offers this like vista of the surrounding ocean, and you can see some other islands sort of on the horizon. And you see a desk sitting there with a sort of computer terminal attached to it, like very like Gundam, where like the screen is kind of at an angle in the desk and the keyboard is like integrated into it. But you also see that out of this window, you can see the landing pad from here. You're sort of at the same level as the landing pad, but sort of on the other side of the mountain. And you can see on the landing pad this large Dominion dropship. And you see these two figures standing on the ramp, sort of talking to one another. And one of them, you have to do a double take. It looks exactly like Mora, just in a different uniform. The hair is a little bit different. And the other figure kind of turns, and in profile, their face is so familiar to you, but you can't quite place it at this distance.
Yeah, I think because we already know that, like we've already heard rumors that they're like clones, right?
Yeah, like I think everyone's kind of been suspecting, for sure.
So I think at this point, it would like he would be a little shocked, but at the same time he would be like, so I guess it's true then, and immediately start to go towards her desk with the computer and try to figure out, like his goal is to figure out what this organization is doing, because I think we learned before that they're not necessarily just like us. Their funding has been dropped, so he's trying to figure out what their goal is. Like, what are they doing? Where are they getting funding? Like, what is going on with this organization?
Right.
Is what he's looking for. So as he goes over to the computer, he's just gonna say, all right, tell me who you are, and try to figure that out.
As you start typing with great speed and accuracy, because of Mario teaches typing, obviously, provided to all paladins and as part of their training. Go ahead and give me an espionage roll, if you would, and if you don't have it, system. Are those your two skills, Matt? Was that your reaction?
Okay.
Matt's like, would have loved to use those, I guess. No, okay.
So I succeed.
Cool. And as the information starts sort of terminal green going up the screen, and you're kind of reading through it, your eyes flitting over the lines, the screen like is projecting the images on your face, like screens never do, but often happens in movies for dramatic effect. And we see like these various like wireframe blueprints of various mecha, like DNA strands, all of it sort of reflected on your face. And we'll find out what you find out here shortly. Several floors away, Mattie and Tulip are leaving the archives. I am going to start here with Mattie. Obviously, Tulip is shaken. There is an air about your friend that you've never probably seen before. What's going through your mind as these klaxons sort of blare and you're forced to go into a completely different mindset, even with this heavy knowledge sort of weighing on you?
So the brown skin of his hand is sort of turning purplish red with Tulip's grip. and he is like, as you say, like jolted back to reality by the sound of the klaxons. He sort of rubs his hand, the back of his curly hair. Well, we can't let him get away with that. I think I've got all the data I can get from here. A lot of stuff, a lot of good stuff we can do, Tulip, don't worry. A lot of good stuff. But I think I've got one more trick up my sleeve. And he is going to attempt to get into the system of the... he's already, kind of been playing with it already. He's going to try to go deeper into the system and get into its power regulators and basically set off this volcano.
Oh, yay. Okay, awesome. So, let's go ahead and do if you have it, espionage. If not, just system is fine.
Yeah, it's going to be system, but he's pretty good at system, so should be fine. All right, that was a 1.
Wow, okay. Apparently we need to not take a month-long break on this campaign because everyone just like stores up nat 1s.
This is the best session to save these for, I think.
Yes, no kidding. You are already sort of knee-deep in the mainframe of this place, having accessed and downloaded the video logs. You go further, probably further than this terminal is intended to go. You end up like remoting into another terminal, like deeper into the complex through this screen, and you're able to access the coolant system of this installation, the constantly fluxing coolant that keeps the temperatures in check, and the various sort of systems that keep the volcano from erupting. You see these safeguards put in place, this coolant system, and you know that you could overload these reactors and disable the coolant system with just a couple minutes of work.
And I start working on that, and I never access the terminal with my other hand that is holding Tulip's the entire time. That I am holding her hand the entire time that I'm doing this, and it makes me move not much slower. And I will give the courtesy of my friends, to say, this place is disappearing in a few minutes.
Tulip, you are. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, in just a second after you say that, she'd gulp and say, "Right then," and you'll feel her bright white from the squeeze knuckles loosen as her hand slips away from yours, Mattie, and she starts to muster a bit of awareness. The klaxon's going off. She actually kind of uncharacteristically draws her pistol from her sidearm. And she says, "Well, I guess we better go then."
Together. Always together.
Yeah, you got it. And she'll poke her head around the corner and look down the hall before taking the first step. "Thanks, Mattie." "Thanks."
There are no thank yous amongst friends. Only, of course.
And Noodles, right? She like winces off a tear, but she's moving at a brisk pace.
You begin racing down the corridor, and you go down a couple sets of ladders, the alarms blaring incessantly the entire time. And as the two of you scale your second ladder and go down a short set of stairs into the hallway that leads into the hangar where you saw those Paladin frames, you see rounding the corner opposite you is Mora and Zasha, and they come around the corner, and Tulip and Mora, you both kind of look at each other, and I imagine that there's a facial expression on both of your faces that is like, I have something to tell you, and you both look like that, and neither of you knows what the other person is gonna say.
Mora speaks up almost immediately, well, not immediately, after that pause, and says, "The mission."
She says, "Right, Captain," and would stare, even if he pressed forward, would kind of stare at him a second longer and do a long gulp, starting to process some of the information particular to Mora, and sidestep her own.
And Mora gives that same facial feature, that same gulp, that same drawn face, but looks away while it's happening, as if, just to remove the distraction completely. And are there like guards about to come in on us?
So you hear, like, in the floors above you, that they're moving down the floors, like, systematically, and you hear like voices that are, though muffled, getting closer, and boots as well. It's also pertinent to mention at this time that the door that you came through out of the hangar is currently sealed by a heavy blast door, just closed and sealed and locked in place.
All Mora is going to say is, in these like tactical signs, positions and ambush, so we can all do our separate thing that we're best at, and maybe Mora will make some motion toward the blast doors. Not exactly, because Barker is not exactly sure who would be the one to tackle that, but everyone else, like, will get into a position. Mora's gonna get behind a corner, hold his SMG up towards an entrance that, assuming the staircase, clink, 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 all these footsteps are coming down. They're gonna open it up right into the line of fire.
Is Pax with us?
He is not.
Might even send a little like sine wave hum to Pax, as in like a communication to answer if you're safe enough to answer.
And as you get this signal, Pax, you have just finished loading up data onto a chip, and you're pretty much wrapping up in the office as you hear this little trill on your communicator.
Okay, cool. I'm assuming that like I can send like the same trill back to let him know that I'm fine. Do we have like location things so I know like what floor they're on?
You don't, but if you wanted to communicate, you could, to try and triangulate where the two of you are.
All right. Commander, I'm fine. I'm inside of an office. Where are you guys?
Mora's going to kind of type something into maybe a wrist module, and like activating a signal to you, maybe an individual one, so you can see it without speaking.
And
is that okay? Did I just make up that we actually have this technology after Matt said we didn't? Is that what just happened?
last session I made a 3D map appear from my wrist at some point.
Yeah, like you just do
sweet.
whatever. Yeah.
And I'm gonna type
Travel through space.
Yeah.
We can text.
Yeah, exactly.
type a little bit on the wrist module, and the blast doors open.
I was gonna ask if I could autopilot.
This wrist
so
module
that's
is turning into a sonic screwdriver situation very quickly.
It doesn't work on locked doors.
Yeah. Yes.
Except when it does. But yeah, so if he sends me where they're at, I will go ahead and send whatever the non-verbal signal is that I'll be on my way, and start making my way down to them.
Okay, and as you get that confirmation from Pax, you hear on the stairs, multiple stairs leading down into this corridor, you hear the boots, the iron-shod boots of the Dominion troops. What are all of you doing to prepare? Where have you basically stationed yourselves in this hallway? And, feel free to have sort of narrative leeway on whatever you want to come up with. As long as you're not like getting in a tank or something.
I like the idea that Mora has set up across the way from the door, along with Tulip and Mattie, like flanking fire, and I'm right next to the door, like Leon the Professional style, with my back next to the door frame, waiting for them to come through and engage with my teammates, and then I can disrupt them. Because I have a pretty baller combat, so I figure that that's what I'm going to do, try and disrupt whatever their plans are for entering this space. So she's got this assault rifle that she's had since she pulled it with Saxifrage's blood still on it from their one remaining home, and she cycles around into the chamber and tucks it next to her chest and stands there crunched up against the wall.
What about Tulip and Mattie?
I'm probably, I just have a katana. I mean, as much as he's not the most proficient of fighters, but he has it drawn in case people get in close. But he would probably be close to a panel trying to deal with these blast doors.
Okay, great.
Or trying to deal with it, or maybe to kind of mix up the flavor. He's doing more engineering kind of stuff, like he's like soldering through it or welding through it or something like that.
Dope. Okay, cool.
Tulip is kind of crouched down, breathing deep and heavy, without communicating it to anyone. She cocks her gun and prepares to do a strafing run, like across the opening, to draw their fire when they do arrive, if they make contact. And this is her plan, and it's formulating in her head kind of the equations, putting the situation together, and she feels confident in it. And when those klaxons continue to blare, she starts to get every 3 or 4 beats of the klaxon, just these clips, these small millisecond clips of that life in the subterranean. Clips of the inside of Nan's tank house, that rusted vehicle with all of her things in it. Some laughter as some kids tried to break in and she was pushing them out of the vehicle. The commotion when Nan was gone from town. Tulip crying by herself in a corner. But yeah, this is just coming at her. Every flash of the warning lights as they catch her eyes, and she closes her eyes, breathes for just a second, and it stops for a moment. She looks to Mattie to see that her friend is okay, because for some reason she thought she was just pulled out of here.
Mm-hmm. I have a quick question. Have Matt or anybody here, have you ever played the game Alien Isolation? In Alien Isolation, there is a thing that like the main character can do, which is like mess with like the air purifiers and the air condensers to basically create like fog. Mm-hmm. And I'm wondering if before we're engaged, I can like mess with like the air compressors to basically create this big fog for us that they have to walk into, and just let Zasha kill them all in the fog. Just and they create cover for us.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead and just give me a system test if you wouldn't mind.
Sure. There's rules for like Tulip being able to maybe help me if I asked Tulip to help me in this situation.
Yep.
So I asked Tulip, I could really use a hand with this. Just trying to get her out of her head. Just it's just some simple reworking with the air system.
Yeah, she sort of snaps out of it and says to herself, yeah, what are you doing? Don't be a hero. Come on, Tulip. Joins Mattie. Thanks, yeah. I can do some good here. And she starts like taking the tools out of your backpack and stuff like that.
So is that an advantage roll for me?
That will be advantage for you, yep.
You're not going to believe me.
No way. No way.
It's a 1.
Okay, all right.
I'll put this die away.
No,
I want to make it more
rolling
interesting.
Please
No,
keep rolling it.
we need some drama here.
So
No, we don't.
This actually factors into your plan previously, Mattie. You rerouted all of the coolant into going into other paths so that it would stop reducing the temperature in the volcano. You now have all of this coolant coursing through these tubes, and you sort of reconfigure this air system, pump some coolant through it, and immediately this sort of like low-lying fog starts pouring out of the air vents in this hallway, very quickly filling up the hallway with this kind of frigid feeling mist that quickly fills the space.
Yeah, it's like walking into like a walk-in freezer.
Yep. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Yeah. And just as that happens, Zasha, you see a laser-sighted gun barrel sort of cross the threshold and start sweeping around the room.
I wait for that one to come into the hallway, and then the next one is going to get an introduction.
This soldier comes in with this rifle, immediately does a quick scan, sees Mora, and says, "They're in here!" And a second one comes up behind him.
Okay. When the second one comes up behind, Zasha is going to crack him right across the helmet or head.
They're wearing helmets, yes. The helmets themselves are not fully encasing, but you can see that there's like some various like readouts in like the goggles and stuff as they sweep their heads around.
Yeah, she's gonna try and nail him right in the temple with the butt of this assault rifle.
Okay, let's get a combat roll then. Yeah, Stormtrooper. That's Spaceballs helmets. Just big
3
spheres.
under 19.
Wow.
So that is a success.
Go ahead and describe what it looks like, and you can go ahead and take these first two out with that roll.
Okay. So you see the laser kind of sweep by, and it focuses on whatever cover Mora's behind. They're in here! Tick, 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 tick. Just the sound. You can't really see Zasha at this point from all the cloud smoke going everywhere. And then that laser sight spins back around, and Mora props up ready for cover fire. And then there's another crack, crack, and then a helmet slides down the hallway and spins and stops right next to where Tulip and Mattie are. Clear, Commander.
High five, Tulip.
As this is happening and as the first two go down, a second group coming down the stairs at the end of the corridor, you hear them say, "Open fire!" And there's the bullets start ripping through the fog, ricocheting off of the steel walls of the corridor. Sparks just like more sparks that would ever fly off of something if it was shot, but there's just a shower of sparks mingling with the fog. Mora, you haven't acted yet. What would you like to do as this is happening?
I love the idea that Zasha took down those two before Mora even fired, and that way the others that are coming down, maybe even in a different stairwell out of a different door, they see Mora's laser sight kind of moving around, and then it does an open fire, and they just demolish everything, right? Ricochets, ammunition, cartridges going everywhere. And it's all kind of centered around this laser sight. And right when it stops, I should have rolled first. You're not going to believe it.
I actually don't believe it.
20.
No, actually, wait. To shoot, I need to roll mobility, right?
Yes. Well, and
Okay,
so shooting is power. And if you have combat as an on-foot skill, you get to roll that.
Okay, that makes it even more interesting because I rolled a 12 on my mobility test, but I'm just going to make it a power test, which I also succeed.
Yeah.
I said you're not going to believe it because it's been all 1s to 3s until my 13.
So now it's a regular roll.
Yeah,
I don't
right.
believe
Exactly.
it. Yeah.
Yeah,
So we
thank God the cloud is blocking that mediocre performance, Cass.
I'm really happy it succeeded after that description too. So, and then from the other side, with the sidearm submachine gun, the new laser sight flicks on, and then the other 2 raptors you never knew were there. As I roll 6 damage.
Very nice. Go ahead and describe what it looks like as you take a couple of these guys out.
Absolutely. The first one is an SMG, right?
Mm-hmm.
Close quarters combat, just like right through the chest of this person. And they fall down dead. One round strikes this other person near them, but doesn't kill them. And Mora is going to shove them or kick them into the arms of Zasha, who's waiting for him. And Zasha can describe how this person is dispatched.
Oh, it has to be where you pull the weapon under their chin and wrap your legs around their waist and just pull until it crack. And I take them to the floor because I've not shot yet. I'm hoping that they don't just open fire in my direction randomly.
And then a second helmet spins toward Tulip and Mattie.
This one has like an ear in it. It's very weird.
A very grossed out high five ensues.
I like kind of her pistol is just like hovering towards the smoke and just follows the helmet as it drags towards her, rolling across the floor.
I brought a katana. What the fuck is the use of a katana in this situation? When will you learn, Mattie? When will you learn?
No katanas. Pax, you are going as quickly as you can downstairs, hurtling down corridors, and as you round a corner, as you descend the levels of this volcano base, you sort of come around the corner, and there's a guard right there, and they're bringing their gun around to bear, but they're too slow to bring it around in time. Would you like to try and dispatch this guy?
Sure. Is there just one guard? Is that all I see?
You just see the one for now, but he's sort of like bringing the gun over, and you don't have full view of the corridor beyond yet.
Okay. What do I roll for hand-to-hand combat?
So that would
still
be
power?
Yeah, it'd be power. And if you have combat, you can add your +2 from combat.
Okay. Okay. It is very difficult for me to fail power. I have a 19 on it, so
Yeah,
I
pretty much
succeed.
just rolling a 19 in it or a 20 is what you need. So, so you very easily take this guy out. What does it look like as you drop him?
Yeah, so as he tries to bring his rifle up to bear, I imagine that I don't know. I'm not really good at martial arts, so I imagine I do some kind of martial arts maneuver to disarm him, push his gun out of the way, and then just snap his neck. But and I kind of want to inspect what he's wearing. Is there anything useful, like a radio or something that he might have where people are giving orders?
Yeah, so as he kind of drops to the floor, and there's just this in between the alarms going off, you can hear comm chatter inside his helmet. It is interesting, and Pax, you sort of take special note of this given what you found on the computer, but these guys are not wearing Dominion uniforms. They're carrying Dominion gear, they're using Dominion weapons, and armor, but it has been stripped of all Dominion sigils and signs. It is completely black. No emblems, no images, nothing. Completely nondescript.
Okay. Is there anybody else near me? Would I have time to like put on the armor that he was wearing?
Yeah, definitely. You can do that.
All right.
It's sort of like it just like fits over, and then he's got the helmet.
All right, cool. Then I would like to do that and continue on listening to their. If I like, I don't know if this is like a system check too, or if this is too much. But if I can patch in the radio into like our comm system so that everybody can hear the feed and hear what's going on, I would like to do that.
Okay, I'm just gonna let you do that because that's really cool. So you just like plug in a couple wires, and all of you start getting the feed on your comms, and it's mostly panic. It's mostly like, we found him, there's smoke in the corridor, like, watch your fire. So clearly they know where you are, there's more coming, but they're fairly panicked with the situation that they found themselves in.
All right, cool. I will keep it moving.
All right, you keep moving down the corridor. Back in the corridor itself, Mattie, you're going to start working on the door. Do you want Tulip's help with that, or are you going it alone?
Matt, you tell me, and Tulip, Matt, you tell me, are you, is Tulip looking a little bit more eager to fight, or does she want to help?
I think she would. Like, do I still hear footsteps like thudding towards her direction, or tapping?
Yeah,
her?
there's definitely like a lot more guys coming towards you. Yeah.
Okay. I think she would be assisting in her way, unpacking your tools, your trademark engineering equipment, as she starts to assist you. But as her breathing and her heart rate like increases, so too do those flashes. So too do those images. Like just like smashing her, and she winces and like kind of like her chest decompresses and then like tightens up very suddenly. And for those who for those of you who are familiar, this is like a or unfortunately familiar, this is like she's experiencing the kind of anxiety that like tightens up your chest to the point where you lock almost. And she like kind of drops down to one knee, and her eyes snap open, and she almost angrily, but obviously not at Mattie, but angrily she expresses, Mattie, I just can't sit here. And she's like, just can't do nothing, and bursts off in a kick, and executes her kind of like haphazard plan to draw some of the fire as she dashes into the smoke, trying to set up one of her like Zasha, one of her murderous companions in their slaughter. But yeah, she I would like to do an acrobatics to try to do like a like kind of tumble roll while she's shooting her pistol, but not like trying to hit anything.
No, I love that. Please do. And don't apologize about your phone dinging. I'm pretty sure it was me sending a stupid message in our Facebook chat. So
okay.
So no apologies necessary. That was 100% my fault.
My fault.
That's funny. Okay. Yep. So because I do have acrobatics, which would be +2, I passed. Thumbs up.
Yeah, awesome. What does it look like as you do flips across the, not an actual flip, but as you tumble and fire off?
No,
a few
but
shots?
it is a profession. It is kind of a tumble that it was practiced. It's kind of like it's not very like Tulip to bust out like military exercises from our training regiment, but it snaps back like she had been training yesterday, which is a little bit eerie. as she draws the fire, kind of like hopefully putting 1, 2, however many of these soldiers in a bad spot as they wander into this smoke cloud following her.
Yeah, it's already just chaos in the corridor as these troops were sort of like flanking you. They thought they had the drop on you, but now they're walking into this sort of death trap filled with highly trained cyber soldiers and just not having a good time. So, Mattie, while you work on the door, go ahead and give me a system check if you would. You're going to need 3 of those total to get this door cracked open.
Great. Pass.
Okay, cool. That's 1. I'm so glad that was it. That really makes me happy, Matt, that was what dinged on your turn. Okay, perfect. Zasha, you are still in a great position, and more of these guys are filing in. You see a few of them on the other side of the corridor kind of start going after Tulip, who sort of darts into the fog, but there are others within easy reach if you'd like to act.
Ooh, having Tulip draw attention was not anything that Zasha expected. So she feels she needs to hold up her end of that seesaw before things tip over the wrong direction. So she's going to swing her arm through the strap on this assault rifle and pull it in tight and just come around the doorway that she was standing at a moment before and open fire. Since she can see Tulip, I'm imagining she can choose not to shoot Tulip.
I will allow you to not shoot Tulip.
Unless disastrous rolls
yes.
come into play.
How Silent Hill is it in this place? Yeah.
That is an 18, but I have a 19 power, so it's still a success.
Woo! All right.
Would I subtract 2 because of combat, or would I add 2 because of combat?
You would subtract 2, so it'd be
16.
16
Okay.
instead, yes. So you're great, well below your power. What does that look like as you take a few of these shots?
I'm just imagining at this point that Tulip is moving and maneuvering in such a way that we've practiced previously, and I don't actually see them yet, but when Tulip crosses, the way that she's moving, I time it. And there's that moment where the quick intake of breath, and then I shoot just as they cross that field of fire and drop one of them.
Great.
Well-oiled machine.
I don't know what the status of the Zeta points was. Did we start using Zeta points? I can't remember.
Oh, that might have been for the. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of the mission manual. Sorry,
Yes.
other
No.
game. Apologies.
I ran so much Mecha Hack last month that I'm just like, sure, yeah. You guys have like 18 Zeta points apiece.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool.
Mora, you see that Mattie is working on the door. Zasha is, for the time being, keeping a lot of these guards at bay, and you can see that Tulip, too, is drawing some of them away from the door, keeping Mattie clear of the fire. What would you like to do on your turn?
Mora, takes out a guard as they're leaving this stairwell, just knocks him out, and Mora's going to pull out this fusion grenade that's just like this flat puck, right? And flip a switch on the side, and bzzz, the whole thing ignites in this white hot light. And he's going to chuck it into the stairwell and slam the door, and hopefully destroy as many of these guards as possible to buy as much time as needed for Mattie to open that blast door.
Killer.
The grenade gets caught, and before I shut the door, it's thrown back at me. This wasn't a critical failure, but I think that works really well for my fail on this.
Yeah. Why don't you give me a mobility test, if you would, please, Mora?
Will do. A tie is a failure, and so Mora looks at this beep 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 beep, and then it goes off.
As you are diving for cover a little too late, the blast catches you and slams you up against the wall for 3 damage.
Okay.
I believe that's everyone in the room. I'm going to need Zasha and Tulip to please give me mobility tests.
Okay.
You can give me a thumbs up if you succeed. Okay, cool.
You can see my hand from all the black.
Yeah. How much more black could it be? And the answer is none. None more black. Okay, cool. So you both avoid gunfire as it sort of sprays toward you, both of you being sort of prime targets at this point. There's also, about this time, a rumble that all of you feel as the installation kind of shakes, and the klaxons, the intruder alarm, is interrupted for a second as a calm mechanical voice says, "Eruption imminent. Please evacuate the base. Eruption imminent. Please evacuate the base." The comms chatter again takes on a panicked crescendo as the enemy troops hear this, and we cut to a corridor with Pax in this sort of black, almost mirrored body armor, moving down the corridor, weapon drawn, with "Eruption imminent. Please evacuate the base," sounding over the PA. Pax, as you're coming down this corridor, you sort of see a stairwell, and there's smoke coming up from the stairwell. And then you realize it's not smoke, it's like fog. It's like a mist that's rolling up out of this stairwell, and you can hear that there are guards moving down this stairwell trying to access the door.
Do I see where the guards are coming from?
It looks like they came by way of the corridor that you actually are coming from. So they sort of went down this corridor, left a guy behind them to cover their retreat, and then started going down this stairwell to try and access the corridor.
Cool. I'm assuming that the corridor is where everybody else is at.
Yep.
Can I like grab one of these guys and be like, "Don't you hear that? Where are we supposed to evacuate to?"
The guy says, "I don't know, but Calypso's orders, we're supposed to take these guys out first."
And I'll just try to sound as panicked as possible and be like, "Can you not hear that? The whole place is gonna explode. There has to be an evacuation point."
Go ahead and give me, if you would please, a presence test. And if you have
Pokes
coax,
or persuasion?
you can use that. But if you
Coax
don't, that's
or
fine.
intimidate.
The guy that spent his life behind a mask at his presence.
I failed.
The guy goes, just stop. The sooner we get this done, the sooner we get out of here.
All right. I'll back off and just kind of follow down, I guess.
So you come down the stairwell just in time to see a grenade get thrown in, and one of the guys grab it and chuck it back out the door as the door closes, and you hear boom on the other side of the door.
How many guys are outside the door with me?
There are 6 of these guys outside the door, all armed.
6?
Mm-hmm.
Do they have any like munitions, or have they set anything up?
They don't appear to be setting anything up. The door just closed, and they're you can see that they're kind of like moving toward it to get it open after that grenade went off.
All right, cool. Trying to think. I don't remember. I know we had like a whole thing about like all the stuff that we brought with us. I like don't remember what I brought with me.
It was a long time ago. Anything that makes sense you can have on you, as long as it's not like, because I mean,
Okay.
you are a prince and you did like wrest your planet from the control of an evil tyrant. So like you kind of just have whatever you want on you.
Okay, so I would let me know if I go too far with this, but I would like to think that as we're kind of going down the stairs, I'm trailing behind these people, and I'm gonna try to plant some like remote charges, like small ones on the staircase. And once I see where everybody is kind of like bunkered in at, I want to just kind of like plant some more explosives like kind of around. And if there is a safe space, like maybe down a corridor away from them, I'll kind of mosey on over there and ignite them all. I'm hoping to destroy the staircase to prevent more people from coming down so easily, while also like getting rid of these guys.
I love the juxtaposition of like the like chaotic, harried like gunfight in the corridor, like with you one floor up, like leisurely, like setting up explosives and then like carefully backing up to a safe distance and then beep, like blowing it up. But we'll have that happen on the next turn here. Sorry, I just saw the Zune joke in the chat. I'm always there for a Zune joke. You could kill somebody with one of those if you threw it at them. They were so heavy. Mattie, go ahead and give me another system test if you would. This is number 2, I believe.
I would like to make a Zune test, please.
You use your Zune to open the door.
Yeah, I succeed.
Okay, cool. You're sort of like breaking through the various like firewalls, keeping this the programming of this door, keeping it closed. But you're very easily like with a combination of hacking and like literally like soldering through like wires and stuff. You're getting the door open. There's a few like stray bullets that are kind of ping ping like off the doorway around you, but for the most part, Zasha, Mora, and Tulip are keeping them off of you, and you're pretty safe behind the cover. So, Zasha, you are sort of at still at this doorway. A large guard with this sort of tower shield with a viewport through it comes in through the door with a pistol and sort of immediately trains on you and starts firing at your cover. What would you like to do?
I'll do my first instinct. My first instinct is to sling. I have my arm over the strap of the assault rifle, sling it onto my shoulder, run, and double kick the front of the shield to topple him over like a turtle.
Okay, go ahead and give me a roll.
Let's see if it works.
I love that.
It's a 3 under 19.
Okay,
so
yeah.
fast.
What does it look like as you launch yourself at this guy?
So I come out from behind the cover, and he's got the pistol in the slot, looking through it. This riot gear. But through all of the smoke, me darting left and darting right, he turns the shield to track me, and I just come over top of one of those boxes that had lined this hallway and use it like a Charlie horse to kick off of and just slam both booted feet into the shield, sending him back down into the stairs he just came down. So he rattles back down the stairs and the shield is tipped sideways. If I'm going to be doing damage with this, am I?
Yeah.
Okay. So if that happens, then there will be this moment where he stumbles and he strips the shield off. He turns and there's a barrel like at his nose, and then the camera cuts to Zasha's face and the muzzle flash lights her up for a moment.
Perfect. Yep.
And that's it.
Killer.
She'll
Awesome.
She'll reach up with her thumb and key that throat communicator that they have and say in a very calm voice, "Mattie, how long?"
Ping out, ping out. Soon, very soon.
Roger that.
And through all of this, the like mashup of the intruder alert and if eruption imminent, please evacuate the base. Tulip, you are darting through the fog, narrowly avoiding the gunfire from these guards. What would you like to do on your turn? Oh, you're muted, Tulip.
Communications are down.
Yes, communications are down. Tulip would tap that same calm device on the throat, patching through to Mattie. You got this, Mattie. You're doing a great job.
I assume you are too. Just don't die, please.
Watching your back. Pew pew. And she that motivates her to jump back in the fight. She was like crouching behind a box or something. Swings out and fires off a couple stray shots, but again, not with any kind of like technical precision like the others. Mostly in a leading way, or if she's lucky, she might hit someone in the leg. But why not roll for it? Why not see? But I was hoping to use just like to use the inspiring speech feature to kind of just boost Mattie on, giving them advantage on their next test.
Awesome. Great.
And I think that takes my action, no?
Yes. Yep. Yeah. And with on foot stuff, I generally just do one action instead of two in the mecha. So that's
yeah, that makes sense.
Doing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what she's doing, and yeah, she's just doing the same thing. Pop, 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 but nothing tactical.
Right. Just pulling them away from the door, which is working surprisingly well. Mora, you're sort of like getting up. You feel like cracked ribs from your getting slammed against the wall and just the sheer concussive force from this blast wave. What are you doing on your turn?
Mora reaches up to communicate with the throat communicator and realizes that the tips of his 3 fingers that he would do so are burned away, cut away by shrapnel a little bit. And he's bleeding off of one forearm. The armor is completely shredded. If it weren't for the helmet, which now lay cracked open on the floor, he would have been killed by the impact against the wall. He gets up to a knee, and yes, the chaos is hyper-focused in a high-pitched frequency, and also like a low pass filter where everything is just this dichotomy of these 2 frequencies, high and low, good and evil, success and failure, and how maybe he was mad to even attempt to change who he was. He feels in a way that the last 10 minutes have unlocked something inside of him, and he stands up rejuvenated, now not even thinking about his bloody hand or his bruised ribs. He pulls the sidearm out of his holster and begins walking into the door. He's going to open the door and just immediately fire, pop, 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 and empty the magazine into the person in front of him. He believes that he's dead if he doesn't do this. He doesn't actually know that Pax is on the other end. He feels like the coffin is coming for all of us, and maybe if he deserves to be the one to pull the plug on all those other versions of perhaps him, maybe him, might have beens, could have beens, then maybe he deserves to die as well. And he pulls that pistol and opens fire while walking through the door. He succeeds, and he does 2 damage into the person just right in front of the door as he walks in.
You walk in, and put 2 rounds into this first guy. The rounds go clear through the armor, and the guy topples backward. And as you bring your gun up and look down the sights, you see 5 armored guys coming down the stairwell, and all of them bring their guns up. And there's this instant where you're like, well, I mean, that's it. And as they start to fire, there's this sort of cacophonous explosion, and the stairwell just collapses, and all of them go down under the rubble of the stairwell. The explosion sending you stumbling backwards, but unharmed through the doorway, Mora. And there's this like gout of smoke that just rolls through the doorway after that happens.
The force. He's shocked. Mora was shocked, but less because of the explosion, and more because he didn't realize that we had such explosive devices in on this mission, and he didn't realize that. I mean, it must have been Mattie and Tulip who set a bomb up upstairs, and then something comes through. I don't know what it is, a frequency or whatever you would want, Pax, but something comes through at like the pinnacle moment where it's revealed who did it. It's up to you if that happens, actually.
You just hear Pax's voice over the speaker and says, "Really? You just come out and start shooting at an entire armed platoon of people?"
Mora's not even mad. Mora just starts kind of laughing. Another day, I guess, he says.
And he would put his hand out from around the corner and say, "Don't shoot, I'm inside their armor." Before he like comes out around.
And Pax, you see Mora, and beyond him, Zasha. You see Tulip moving down the corridor, and Mattie at the door. And Mattie, go ahead and give me that third check, if you would, with advantage from Tulip's inspiring words.
Oh, thank you, Tulip. Succeed. All right, so I am like just. I'm at this one point where I got the doors pretty well open, but there are these like cables, these really like strong like steel cables that are holding everything together, and I just can't. I don't have anything strong enough. I've used everything to get through the door to this point. I'm out of like gas on any of my welding things. There's just no energy left, and I have a flash of inspiration. I take the katana off of my back and I just I slice through the cables on the door, and it and the tension gone. The doors just begin to slide open, and he says, "Open sesame."
The doors are open, and the Paladins are again together, united. It's only been 30 minutes since you split up, but so much has happened. It feels like you're reunited after a great trial of some sort. And there's maybe a moment where you're all kind of standing and looking at each other like through the haze of this frigid smoke, and then over the PA, "Eruption imminent. Please evacuate the base," continues.
Sorry, quick question. Do they know that Calypso is here?
No.
No. So I will go ahead and let them know that since I directly saw it while I was up there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I forgot what you said, what kind of ship it was. But
yeah, it was a drop ship, and it was you know that the drop ship likely had mecha inside of it. It was large enough to carry several mecha.
Cool. So I would just look at a Raptor and say, "Commander, I saw your clone outside, and someone else, I'm assuming some kind of commander, scientist I spoke to called her Calypso. So looks like their commander is here as well."
What? Where? Where did you see them?
At the drop ship point. Looks like getting out might be a little bit more difficult.
Wrist module. Long stare. Not quite himself. Mora loads a magazine and looks at you, Pax, and says, "Lead the way."
Pax would nod and start going down. So just to make sure, like, I'm like visually understanding it, we came in through like the sewer system, not the drop point site.
Correct. Your mecha are down.
Different positions.
Yeah,
Like-
so your mecha are through the hangar, through the door that Mattie just opened, and underneath the base itself. Calypso is up at the top of the volcano in the on the landing pad, or at least she was when you saw her.
Okay.
So
This might be a time where we'd split up to, maybe some of us go to get the Paladins, get the Mecha, and Mora seems pretty unconvincible of going down with you.
So, did I didn't learn anything that would be relevant at this moment, right?
So I can tell you what you learned on that computer. The troops here, Calypso, Warhawk, all of it, this second Project Halberd is not a Neo-Dominion project. The Neo-Dominion excommunicated Calypso, and in fact, she has a bounty on her head from the Neo-Dominion for genetic experimentation.
So did I learn anything about like her goal, what she's trying to accomplish?
She's trying to build an army.
Just because
her own personal army. The sort of perhaps the original intent of Project Halberd, to build super soldiers that could synchronize perfectly with the Geist system.
Okay. So nothing that would sway me at this moment. Cool. So then, yeah, and Barker, you said that you wanted us to split up to go and do something.
I don't think you all are stupid enough to follow Mora into a blind like suicide mission, especially after since this would be take two. This wouldn't even be the first time. So after passing through the door with a couple of rounds and a pistol. So I don't think Mora would be upset if any of you split off and did your own thing, as long as he knew how to get to them.
Oh, how to get to where they're coming
Sorry,
from.
how to get to Calypso and Warhawk.
Well, yeah. Pax would just let you know that he doesn't know where they went after they came inside. The last place that I saw them was coming off of the dropship bay, and that was when I was up there about maybe 20 or 30 minutes ago. Where they are inside the base now is anybody's guess.
Commander, this station is going to be a crater in, well, any second now. What have we done all this for if we haven't realized that the only way that we can fight them, the only way that we can win is together? Come on.
I think that Mora, after hearing this input, would dig deep into his own psyche and try to say, he says, okay, what would I do? Where would I go in this place? Where would I go? If I knew that it had been infiltrated, if I was up in that place, where would I go? And there's this like conversation that happens in his head between him and Saxifrage. And he's going to try, knowing with all the information Mora has about this place, about what's happening, he's going to try to figure out maybe what Warhawk would do, where Warhawk would go, and just make an educated guess. Is that system using my brain and intellect?
Yep.
Sweet.
It could also be, you could make an argument for presence as well if you're sort of like digging into the soul of yourself.
Well, you know what? I will do it. Either the better roll. I have advantage on both of those because intellect and coax. So, well, the better roll was 10 on both. So, yeah. Is there anything I conjure? Any feeling that during this, like, I don't know, orchestral rising music, maybe John, if you had like a sound effect that could play right now, like a reveal something.
The only thing I can think of is that sound from like the Gundam series where they connect to each other's mind. That like
Yep.
Oh, nice. Yep.
And there's always like a lightning bolt between their heads. Yeah. I've been watching a lot of Mobile Suit Gundam, and that happens all the time in that show. It's so awesome. You would go to your mecha, Warhawk. You would use the best tool for the job.
The long moment ends, and Mattie, you get this cold stare, an angry stare. There's rage behind it, but after a short moment, Mora says, "You're right. To the Paladins."
Sorry.
As they're all kind of running through the door and this fog is clearing and like dissipating through the hallways and through the door out down below as it would sink this cold air, and there's just like body parts and corpses everywhere. Zasha like puts her hands on her legs, takes a shuddery breath in, and then throws up, wipes her mouth, and then follows after in a brisk jog.
The Paladins run together as a team through that mecha hangar where the empty Paladin frames stand. And as you move deeper and deeper, there is more shuddering, more quaking that is happening. There's steam erupting from pipes that are overheating, bulkheads sort of buckling inward as this great, gigantic steel structure built within and around this volcano begins to crumble in on itself. The support pylons literally melting with the heat of this volcano. All of you make it into the dark confines of this exhaust vent, which is now getting ready to exhaust some stuff. And there is the shadowed silhouettes of the Paladins sort of knelt in this space, all of them waiting for you.
That was very, very funny, man.
Thank you. I couldn't think of it's gonna exhaust some
me deep
stuff.
in my soul because when you said it, I'm like, any nominated writer and editor for Wizards.
I'm a
exhaust
professional
vent.
writer and editor. Exhaust.
I'm getting ready to
stuff.
exhaust some stuff.
Perfect. The exhaust vent is ready to exfiltrate some gases from the station.
There we go.
I would die for it.
There we go. The unfortunate thing about speaking is that it's always a first and only draft. So that is,
And it's
a
all
bummer.
passive voice.
Yeah,
Ugh.
it's yep. So do you suit up, get the hell out of here? I'm assuming. There's a let's do like a cool little like brief montage. Everyone gets a single like shot as you suit up and prepare to exfiltrate. Mora, go ahead and go first.
Mora climbs into her mecha, and Warhawk climbs into his. They climb into their mecha at the same time.
Dope.
Mora jacks into the Geist system. Warhawk does the same. Mora like alters this decorative dashboard display to go completely black, and Warhawk ignites his into this fiery beam of light, this just glow, and they both take off together in their separate areas.
Mattie.
Mattie approaches the frame of Paladin Vogue, and he is just about to hit the key fob or whatever it is that opens up the cockpit for him to enter. But even before he presses it, it opens up to him, and he takes a step back, and the eyes on the thing are already glowing gray, this sort of gray spooky light, and he just shakes it off, and climbs aboard with actually pretty good agility, and he closes in, and we see this sort of very whereas a lot of the other Paladin frames are probably sort of a lot of lines and hard edges, this has a lot more interlinked kind of soft curves and aerodynamic build, and it's also just like a little bit wider. But it's this and as he normally does, he kind of hits a few buttons, things light up, and then these color cells begin to calibrate, and they settle into their usual purple with some gold accents, with the sigil of an obelisk and the Paladin sigil as well. And the lights glow gray in the exhaust vent.
Tulip. Oh.
As Tulip learns how to click the button that opens her cockpit hatch and allows her to climb up into her Paladin frame, the rain. She buckles in. It feels like she just went for a swim in her clothing. She's been sweating so much from the memories, from the tight grip, from rolling around like she was some kind of professional star ball player. But as the lights start to flick on inside of the Paladin, its solar orange eyes beaming out into the hangar, its blue frame starting to be illuminated in its entirety. She jacks in to the Geist system, and her distressed kind of spiral under her eyes facial expression goes gaunt and expands. Her eyes widen, a little bloodshot immediately, as if injected with something. And she has that faraway look that is trademark Gundam when her mind starts to go, and she doesn't realize it, but the Geist system has started to sink its teeth in as the rain, a Titan mech, spreads its monarch butterfly wing binders and launches off in sequence and order.
Okay, Pax.
So Pax climbs into his 3 systems, and as he's like booting things up and getting everything going, it's clear from his expression that like his mind is like not really in the present. It's kind of, he's still going over all the information he's found, and this is the second time that he's discovered that nothing he thought he knew was true, and that he thought he was fighting against his country, but again he's fighting against another cast-off system, and the system that seems to be again a product of something that his dad funded. And as he looks at the picture of him and his mom and his dad, and he kind of places his hand on it and thinks about all the people back in the Perlictus system, his eyes kind of focus, and he says, "3's taken off," and starts to move.
And Zasha.
Zasha comes down this tunnel and passes all of these turrets that we've left unpowered in case we needed them on our escape, knowing that we don't need them now. But as she gets close to Avalanche and it's opening its cockpit, this big refrigerator-like layers of armor come out and open down like the exterior of a moving truck all the way to the ground on a ramp. She can climb up and jump into this cockpit. She grabs the handrail and pulls herself into the cockpit and pushes back into this soy composite leather seat that is just molded to how she feels. And there's this moment as it's lifting back up to close and lock her inside, where her heart is pounding and she's sweating, and the camera stays in this silent cockpit with her, and it just hears the of her breath as she pulls this space helmet on and locks it into place. And when she does, the breathing finally calms. And she sees that there's a big smear on this handrail where she climbed inside the cockpit of blood that's not hers. And she stows this weapon back where it's supposed to be, and there's little strips of flesh or hair caught in it, in the receiver, in the jacket. And she tries to put it out of her mind, this idea that she sees the violence that she has caused only after it's happened. But as soon as the panels around her come to light, it feels like she could take on the entire world. It feels like she could smash apart this planet herself. And she keys in her mic and says, "Neon ready to fly."
Oh no, Matt.
The Paladin rain appears on your monitor, Raptor, the connection of the comlink, and her voice comes across a little shaky. Her eyes are closed in the cockpit, but she feels like she can feel you even from this distance, and says, "Commander, no, Mora. Listen, you're not going to find any answers in a ball of flame out there. I need you to come back to us. We need to figure this out together."
There's like a flashing light on Mora's GPS navigation unit. And it's almost like Cho has psychically realized that Mora is about to navigate away from the rest of the team and go find Warhawk and find Calypso and find that ball of flame. And as Tulip is talking, he's just looking at that flashing light. And he flips it off. And he reroutes the navigation to be alongside with the team.
She silently opens her eyes and follows her own course and gets ready to meet Dark Sassafras. Calypso, the coolest name ever.
The Paladin suits come screaming out of this exhaust vent, almost like it's a launch tube on a space cruiser. And you all can see these like cracks, spider webbing out from the volcano, this glow of magma in these cracks, steam just rising in torrents of bubbles under the water. And as you all sort of get clear of the volcano, you all get a little beep, 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 reactor signature. There's a mecha in front of you, silhouetted in the red glow of the magma. This Paladin suit is roughly twice the size of the largest of you. And these sort of draping bits of armor evoke the silhouette of a cloak over this thing. As it steps forward, the armor plates sort of shift, and you see the frame within. A single eye glows in the helmet of this thing. You hear over the comm, "Hello, Paladins. It is good to finally meet you." The voice, familiar, yet strange to you. And then, on all of your HUDs, her face appears. Saxifrage. Or somebody that looks like Saxifrage, but younger, grimmer. She's wearing a helmet, but even through that glass, you see this face, and all of you feel something. She says, "You have people among you. The one called Mora, the one called Tulip. I'm here for them. I have much to tell you, if you wish to listen."
There's no Tulip here. She died in the explosion. But this is Mora.
Mora, you were never very good at lying.
I have to say, Calypso, is it? I'm really disappointed. Why are you going after them when you have the real prize right here? I know that you want your little minions to be able to tap into the Geist system, to become one with them, something that nobody's been able to do except for, well, you and me. I'm sure that you wouldn't want to just take the sides and leave the main course.
So this is Mattie Jai.
It is. In the flesh and the lodesteel.
Perfect synchronization. Quite on accident, I'm afraid. Tell me, can you achieve perfect synchronization now?
If I had to kick your ass.
But you said it yourself before. There are only two who have done so. And I was the first.
Yeah, but you could also... Sorry, connection's unstable. Yeah, but you could also be the last. And he charges up his systems a little bit.
I think Threes would kind of speak up and say, "To what end is all this? What exactly are you trying to achieve? I've read through the files. You're building an army, but for what? You're not a part of... Who are you fighting against? What are you trying to gain? What is the point of this?"
There is one enemy none of us have accounted for. The Dominion, the Collective, this new aeonic primacy, whose technology runs throughout the Geist system, if I might add. None are prepared for what waits below. None can defend Lodestar from the Voidmaw. The Paladins are all that stands between Lodestar and the end of everything.
We destroyed a kaiju recently, right, Matt? So that Was that part of the Void Maw? We encountered one a few sessions ago.
Yeah, you killed
and
one
so I
in the
imagine
asteroid
that's
belt.
crossing
yeah.
all of our minds.
Mhm.
Yep.
And you're saying that there's more of these things.
More than you could ever know.
How do you know this? Where are you getting your information?
It's the tunnels. It's the Varillian tunnels. They run through the worlds of Lodestar Alpha like veins. They are also a prison. A prison whose bars cannot withstand what lies behind them for much longer. So, one question remains. Are you going to stand in my way? Or will you give up what I want? Give me Tulip and Mora.
How will they help you destroy the Void Maw?
They will not help me destroy the Void Maw. None of you can. But what Tulip and Mora have is genetic code.
And right when you say that, like Tulip wouldn't be interrupting the conversation, but the low hum of the Paladin rain would actually kind of bring her parallel to Raptor. She's like hovering side by side with Raptor.
Brother and sister standing together.
Yes, Mom.
Not Mom.
No.
Big sister.
And what if we come with you? You'll let everyone else go, right?
And you just hear just like she let the director go. You don't
We
think
have no
she's
reason to
responsible
trust you.
for what happened?
You have no reason to trust me, and you have no reason to believe that you can beat me. Or Warhawk.
I mean, we beat Warhawk last time, so...
You did. Quite a disappointment. But that was before, and this is now. The cloak shifts, and this mecha brings up this gigantic rifle. And she doesn't point it at any of you. She points it sort of behind her and says, "The ship. The Okami." The rifle begins charging up. Make a decision.
Like kind of in sync with that, almost instinctively breaking her cool. Beside Paladin Raptor, he would see in his monitor the bright burn of the 4 wing binders as Tulip rips across towards the Okami, almost putting herself like immediately, without even thinking about it, in target instead.
Go ahead and give me a mobility test as you do that, Tulip.
Yeah, sounds good.
I would also like to try to do something really stupid that probably is not going to work, as I always do.
That's
Also, like,
Also really stupid.
after my roll, I will take 2 seconds to step away just for like some.
Yes,
bathroom
absolutely.
situation.
We'll take a break here shortly, everybody. Can.
Okay, cool. Let's do this test. I'm using a digital roller today. Well, that's good. 10. So I pass.
As you're hurtling toward the direction of the Okami, putting yourself between the beam from this weapon and the ship itself, another silhouette comes screaming out of the steam. This sort of orange, burnt-looking sort of shape comes flying out of the steam and collides with Rain, not doing any damage, but just sort of knocking you, and then sort of standing in front of you in this defensive stance. And you all recognize the silhouette of Paladin Warhawk, now rebuilt, but it now has this fiery orange paint with these sort of strange-looking fins coming off of its limbs and shoulders. If it resembled a bird before, it now resembles something more like a pterodactyl almost. These sort of like membranous fins coming off of its limbs, and it draws out this sword, and you hear over the comm, "Don't make me do this, Tulip."
Can that be our pause point? I really have to go.
Yes, let's take a break and we'll find out what dumb shit Pax is gonna do and what Tulip says. Let's take a quick bio break. Well, just 2-3 minutes, and then we'll come back.
Thank you.
Stick around, everybody. Okay, we're back. Hello, everybody. So, what does Tulip say as Warhawk prevents you from moving toward the Okami?
Matt, would you say after my quick thruster jaunt that I would be in close range of the Okami?
Yeah.
Okay. Tulip would be like, as her mech was kind of throttled by Warhawk, her trajectory would change as she like spins out a bit. And as she spins, where she lands, even though they're still close to each other, her back is facing Nan's ship, the Okami, the Paladin flagship of today. She has that same look that she's had. She hasn't had too much to say since she's had it, and as the Paladin drifts even closer to the Okami, the armor plates on the outside of this crown-wearing monarch-esque mecha begin to snap open and shift and peel away in certain areas and kind of make room for what looks to be a slightly more exposed, slightly more lithe kind of form of the Paladin Reign. And where every piece of armor kind of snapped open, it is starting to glow that same orange as her eyes. And slowly, in the very center of those four wing binders that are now facing the starship Okami, there is this closed circular kind of hatch that just spirals open. And you see on her main monitor the indication from the starship. Emergency defense activating. Geist system limiter released. And it says Long Fang. It says the word Long Fang just sprawled across her screen, and something on her hip unclasps, and I'm gonna say, Matt, that you can describe what opens up on the ship itself as a tight beam shoots between the Okami and Paladin Reign's mecha. A tight crimson beam. I'm trying to visualize where it would come out of the ship, but I didn't have an idea for that.
I picture it being, because it's called Long Fang, I think that it's kind of stored up near the front, almost on the bridge of this sort of like cylindrical thing that sort of extends out from the hangars, the catapult launchers. And this panel sort of slides open, and this massive cannon comes sliding out on a couple of arms toward the Paladin Reign.
And okay, it shoots this beam into the back of this mecha that kind of lights up like a Christmas tree. All of those wing binders flaring out, and it just looks like almost the entire thing is on fire for a moment as the cockpit flares extremely bright. Energy starts to pulse through the super reactor of the Titan, and it begins to power up one particular weapon. She draws it, kind of dead in her stare, not unlike Mattie's was before. And what she drew was essentially what looked like kind of like a short sword that was at her hip, but it was wired to a large armor piece on that hip. Pulling from this wire the hilt of this weapon, she ignites it, and essentially it is a starship scale sword that beams out vertically in front of her, almost completely eclipsing the sight of her mecha entirely. And as this happens, all of all of these images that have been haunting her, giving her anxiety, locking her up and stunting her on the way since she found out about her origins, potential origins. They all kind of hit a rapid apex in her mind, and her pupils go small as the Geist system engages to its full capacity. And I don't know, Matt, I just kind of imagine that her brain is hyper focused on finding something real with Nan. One thing real. If all of this was a lie, you know, her brain is focusing all of its energy on just peeling that away as the Geist system takes over to find out within herself, hopefully, the truth.
Absolutely.
But yeah, you get Warhawk gets this kind of bright, ridiculous starship-sized sword drawn in front, and the silent, dead stare of the glowing orange eyes of Paladin Rain.
And Warhawk actually kind of like takes a step back, sort of growing more defensive in its stance. And there's this strange kind of, as you, Tulip, achieve perfect synchronization with the Geist system, there's this sort of like, and you're just sitting at a table in a white room, and across from you is sitting Mora. Not Mora. It's Falk. Your brother, Paladin Warhawk. And he just is looking at you terrified.
She says, is she like in this state, or is she just normal Tulip kind of again for just a moment?
She's sort of normal Tulip here,
self-aware
in this space. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
She would look across at him, and it comes with the realization that she has this brotherly familiarity in this moment. Okay. Yeah, Tulip would reach over and actually grab for Falk's hand.
And he would draw it back, sort of snatching it away.
She said, are you really going to let that fear control you like it does with Calypso?
I don't have anything else.
None of us do, Falk. We're all afraid. But there's more. You have a chance to find something better than fear. And better than fighting. I know, because we did. And we're the same.
No, we're not the same. We're not the same. And he flips this table, and in an instant, you're back in the cockpit, staring down his mecha. Pax, you were gonna do something stupid. Do you still want to do that? Now that you've had time to think about it.
Yeah.
So, as always, a question first.
I love
What
it.
happens when two laser beams like collide in this universe?
Oh my god, I don't know. It would be a big anime like big circle explosion. Yeah.
I want to try to ready, like, while everybody seems to be kind of taking the attention away from me, hopefully, I want to try to ready my action to shoot at the same time she does, so that our buster beams collide before
Oh,
it hits
man.
the ship.
Okay, dope. Okay, awesome. I will allow you to ready that action to be able to do that. Got it.
That's
Taking a
so
note.
cool.
That's so dope. So, as this is all happening, as Rain activates this long fang weapon, this gigantic sword, much too large for anyone else to wield, Calypso, the cloak sort of shifts and opens up, and from these sort of plates of this cloak, dozens of tiny spheres begin popping loose and floating around her in this sort of cloud, all of them flitting here and there. And she keeps the rifle trained on the Okami, and this she's looking back, and then that single eye just goes and looks at Mora, and over the comm she says, "You're the commander. Is this how it's gonna go?"
You hear the to the right of Mora's head, where the ion turbine is booting up, and on the other side you hear as the 3D printer is making explosive rounds. Mora says, "This is the way it's going to go." And I'd like to ready an action too if we're in the middle of doing that.
Sure, go for it.
I like the idea that once Pax's action goes through, I want to ion turbine because I hadn't taken a move action, ion turbine directly into Calypso.
Okay, all right, so you're gonna charge Calypso.
Yep.
Okay. Zasha, what about you? I'll give everyone a chance to sort of since we're all kind of standing here in this sort of standoff, everyone is allowed to sort of prep something to be able to do.
So all of this is basically happening in a combination of underwater and just above water, because we're in mech. It does not matter. We hear each other regardless, right?
Yep, exactly.
So I'm picturing this dark, murky water that we had trouble seeing through, but everything's illuminated with all these lights shining everywhere. And people are breaking the surface of the water, and tight beams are being cast, this giant sword. Zasha has not moved at this point. There has been no command given. There has been no threat assessment. There has been nothing. So in this moment, Zasha is overcharging her own weapons platform, knowing fully well that this orbital laser, this monolithic thing that she's cobbled together from parts over the years, will more than likely explode if fired in atmosphere. But she's willing to take that risk if need be. But for the time, she is more than happy to not be the target of anyone's attention, and instead stays stoic flat on the ocean floor just outside of this base, waiting for something else to happen or for Mora to give her the order.
What about Mattie?
What about Mattie? Mattie, he sees just all the action, everybody who has the initiative over him, just go. His instinct is of course to cloak, and would I need to just take one movement to get over to Calypso, or
One move to get to Calypso. Yep.
Okay, and would jump jets get me to Tulip and Warhawk?
Yes.
Okay, so you got Zasha and Threes and Raptor over here. Tulip is kind of alone over there. and doesn't sit well with Vogue. So he's gonna cloak. So I'm gonna roll my reactor die. We're all good, and then I just the outline, the animated outline, which shows where he actually is. You see him kind of lock into place, like in this cannonball formation, as he spins out towards out of the water, and kind of does this like little gesture so that you don't see any of the water break as he comes out of the water, and maybe there's like a slight ripple, and maybe Tulip sees this slight ripple. And I go right behind Warhawk, just in case. I see that there's a tense moment, but I don't really know what's going on, so I'm just gonna wait.
There for backup.
Yep.
Can I also, just as a like light retcon, say that I moved backwards while I was doing it?
Yes, absolutely.
Just due to the mechanics of the thing that we talked about. Yeah, all right, cool.
Yep, absolutely. Okay. All of this is happening. All these preparations are being made sort of as the conversation is happening over the comms. Like JB mentioned, like tight beams, like you all are coordinating, like getting ready for whatever is about to go down. Calypso is standing there, this just massive mecha. The ground cracked and bleeding lava, the volcano rumbling behind you as it prepares to erupt. And there's this silent moment where everyone is just waiting for someone else to do something. And then Calypso says, "Sorry, Mom." And fires this rifle at the Okami. As this beam travels toward the Okami, Pax, you are ready to intercept it. Go ahead and give me a roll.
Okay. Didn't get a crit. Used my advantage. Got a 2 though.
Oh, is that all? Just a 2?
So let's see. And I'm assuming a 2 hits, right?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and reckless attack as well. So that is 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 21 points of damage.
And you're specifically shooting at the beam, yeah?
Yes,
I'm
shooting. Yep, right at the beam.
Just making sure. So this beam fires out. You instantly pull the trigger, and these two beams sort of meet and cross. And there's this sort of like, almost like implosion that happens in the water as these two like beams of energy sort of collapse in on each other, and then sort of explode outwards. And as this explosion happens, Raptor, you're able to act, if you want to activate your ion turbines and slam into Calypso.
Yes. And then the water just in this like creates this bubble vacuum like in this area, and then it just immediately collapses into a massive wave as Paladin Raptor slams into Calypso. I didn't necessarily want to attack Calypso. I just wanted to surprise her, and maybe grab a hold of a limb on this big mech.
Yeah, you can definitely do so if you want to give me a roll.
Okay, cool. And that would be, I mean, if I'm trying to grab a limb,
I would say most likely power, but you could make an argument for mobility as well if you want. If you're sort of like just doing it quickly with speed, sort of slamming into her using your thrusters power to overcome her.
Yes, that is what I'm going. Well, it was successful either way. Okay, yes, I ion turbine directly into her and latch onto the arm that's holding the gun. So the beam is deflected off, and then the arm is completely moved. So maybe you see the beam streak across space, and I don't know, chop a couple celestial objects in half.
Off the
after
planet,
after Pax saves the Okami So yeah, like it creates another crack in this underwater area with more magma and lava pumps out. As a use action, the Paladin Raptor turns into the airplane, the jet fighter, and begins flying. Mora is going to veer hard into the crack underneath everyone that's just opened up, and steer and drive both he and Calypso down into kind of the volcanic area. And then I'm going to move again because I used the ion turbine when I had not made a move action, and now I'm going to make a move action as a vehicle mode, so I'm getting real deep into the core.
Okay, dope. So you just slam into Calypso, immediately go into vehicle mode, and then just start driving her into the sort of lava crevice with these thrusters. That is very dope. As that is happening, Zasha, you can use whatever action you want to do here if you want to do something.
Where is Warhawk?
Warhawk is standing between you and Rain.
And Maddie's on the other side as well, right?
Yes, yeah. So they're all kind of standing in a cluster.
Yeah, you probably
although
get my
you only-
signal.
Yeah, and you only know Maddie's there because of the signal that you're getting from his mecha.
I know that Warhawk is a bigger threat than most mecha that we have faced in the battlefield, knowing Mora's abilities and piloting, like the seasoned nature of his piloting abilities. So I'm actually going to turn my attention on to Warhawk. How distant would you say Warhawk is from me?
Warhawk is far from you right now.
Ooh. Okay, that's nasty then. All right, so seeing that it's too far to close the distance adequately on my turn, I will, as I said before, overcharge this Ardent 4 vector cannon and fire it at Warhawk in an effort to end this rather quickly with the help of Tulip and Mattie. Ugh. It's not a 1, but it's 2, and I still crit on 1s and 2s.
Yo.
My crippling damage chassis.
Nice.
Okay. Oh, I nearly blacked out. Jesus Christ. 109 on my heart rate. Where am I? What did I do? Okay, hold on a second. No.
It's no, it's good.
No. I gotta take a picture. Hold on a second. I'm not next to it.
I love
I don't know quite what's going on, but I imagine you're kind of like Crank, the guy from Crank. What's Jason Statham?
That's
where it's
Crank.
Like, that's Crank,
name is
right?
Crank.
Okay.
Yeah,
Is his name Crank?
Crank from Crank. Yeah.
Mr. Crank.
Yes.
Professor Crank. I don't know if that'll focus.
Oh, I see it.
Those are 3 10s, my man.
No way.
So that's 32 points of damage.
What does that look like?
Actually,
it doesn't take him
34.
out, but what does 32 damage look like? coming at
34
Warhawk
points
here?
of damage.
34.
There's the moment where this cannon charges, and when it finally fires, it makes this cavitation as the water vaporizes outside of this double-barreled thing firing underwater. 20, 30, 40 feet of water vaporize instantly, supposed to be expelled out into space, and the beam cuts straight through it and the water, making over top, when the camera peers down into the water, sink in a line like parting the Red Sea almost, as the water vaporizes into gas and explodes out into the sky. And when it hits Warhawk, I'm imagining it hits right on those lovely armored plates and that nice shiny new orange and beautiful looking chassis, and just peels all the pate and all of the gold plating and zinc ionization, just peels it off of half of the mech.
Oh,
Okay.
man.
So that was my attack action. I will then move. This is slag. The weapon, even in the water, it can't dissipate the heat fast enough. And the barrels warp and twist into one another. And it begins to spark and like it's glowing white hot even underneath the water. So the emergency disconnect button gets hit on my dashboard and it just ejects and falls into the ocean floor. And after that, she's got no other armaments, but she charges forward towards Warhawk anyway and says, "Get him!" as she does so. Straight towards him underwater.
I have to, John in the chat said, your mistake was letting us attack for him and Chafee. He's just ridiculous. Oh, I love
that it. That is the benefit of the brawler chassis.
Yes.
Tons and tons and tons of damage, but I have no utility at all. I am a refrigerator with a cannon strapped to it.
Amazing. Okay. Tulip, is there anything that you would like to do as this is happening?
With those two smaller wing binders on the lower side of her skirt kind of cranked forward, giving her enough propulsion to move backwards towards the Okami proper. There's the sound of her metallic boots connecting with like just above on a stable part of the bridge of the Okami. As this very, very bright Paladin rain kind of rights its stance. This short sword sized emitter and the gout of unstable plasma that comes out of it is pretty unwieldy, but she kind of maneuvers it. And even through this kind of haze of the Geist system, you hear a tritoned, kind of terrifying Tulip voice saying, "All right, Nan, if you ever gave a shit about any of us, it's time to show it." And like all of this energy pulses through the mech into the weapon, through the Okami, and this thing just explodes to a colony of a sword. And she bursts forward, and as the mecha breaks towards the Warhawk, it's as if time slows just for a moment, and they're not in a empty room, but rather a graveyard, but still just the two of them. He's as far as he had gotten in their last vision together, away from the table, his back turned to her. And Tulip says, "Doesn't have to be like this, brother. This doesn't end well."
He looks down at this grave, this fresh grave that has been dug, and there's nothing in it yet. And he looks up at you, Tulip, and he says, "If you think this ends with all of us walking away, I'm sorry to say, but that's not what's happening here."
She just bows her head, and the tears that are streaming down her face just hit the grass in front of Nan's own gravestone. In this vision, she snaps out, And I'm gonna roll to attack. Test my power. And the cool thing about this little module we made, which is quite ridiculous, is that it's a sword that can hit you near or far.
Mm-hmm. Near, far, wherever you
You are. Yeah, and okay, I'm gonna roll a d10 for that damage.
Of course, the Canadians
Not
feeling
like
it.
7 d10s, but oh, sorry, I have to roll my power first to see if I do. Yes, so I rolled an 8, so that's a success.
Yeah.
And I did an anticlimactic total of 7 damage.
Listen, it's not
What?
34, but
I melted my weapon. There's a trade-off.
yeah, that's true. That was the only 34 damage that is going to be done.
It was legendary, and I loved it. We
Yes.
also shot, a starship once with 3s. This
Yeah.
team is crazy.
Yes. Yeah.
You just, but yeah, it's just like a clean, almost like Kurosawa, like samurai slash,
Mm-hmm.
as she blasts past Warhawk in a way that I don't think someone designed like the commander would probably expect from a Tulip show.
Absolutely. Okay, and finally, Mattie, anything that you would like to do here?
I guess I do something. I mean, at this point, I appear. No, I don't appear. What I do is I take a risk. I haven't done this since the battle in Paladin 3's home turf, but I turn on my precog system. I sort of reach deep. I don't even touch anything. I reach deep within the machine, and I kind of hear Calypso's words in the back of my head, asking, accusing whether I can get myself to that synchronicity again. And I see the laser swords and the destruction wrought by Paladin Neon, and there is this pain and these flashes of the memories of watching the newsreels of my brother's demise. And I think to, everything that has brought me up to this point, how I rejected all of this only to find myself at the center of it again. And I just reach out, and at first I see my brother, Lucas, standing in front of me in this sort of void. And then I see Tulip standing next to him, and I see Zasha standing next to her, and I see Raptor. I see Mora standing next to her, and Pax standing next to him, and there is this, and they kind of form this circle around me, and there is no difference towards any of them, and I kind of hear out. There's part of me that kind of like feels the ripples or hears the conversation that Rain and Warhawk are having, and in more of a anime monologue moment, sort of Mattie's head is hanging low, the curls are in his eyes, and and he says, "Is this the tragedy of life? Is this the fate that we are all doomed to just lose each other again and again in a constant cycle to reach out, to find family only to lose them? No. No, Tulip. You don't understand. You may think that Warhawk, that this person is your brother, is your family. Don't you know that the best, the strongest family you can ever have is the one that you choose?" And he reaches in and he just turns on his he synchronizes, and we see that he dashes claw first towards Warhawk, and we can move on from there.
We see the explosion, this massive wave of destructive energy as a result of these two beams hitting each other. We see the melted and slagged rifle of Paladin Neon dropping to the seafloor. We see Paladin Raptor and Calypso falling like Gandalf and the Balrog into the bowels of the earth. And we see Paladin Vogue and Rain squaring off with Warhawk. And as all of this is occurring, the frame kind of freezes and we get this stilled action shot of everyone sort of leaping into the battle. And that is where we're going to call the session for tonight. Because, as I said in the chat, this is the fight, and I don't want to rush it because it is getting a little bit late. So we're going to have this be a two-parter. So tune in a couple weeks here to see how this all plays out. So thank you, everyone, for tuning in and for watching. As always, it has been a real joy to run this campaign, and I can't wait to see how it's all going to sort of wrap up here. I'm going to toss it to my wonderful players here to do their outros and, of course, our credit scenes, as has become tradition here at Mecha Hack Paladins HQ. I don't know. So let's go ahead and start with JV if you want to do your outro.
God. So the camera for Zasha's outro, the camera zooms in on this weapon that she spent all this time making as it warps and melts and twists in on itself. And then the camera pans back and it's actually her with a lighter melting the little plastic model of it that she made a long time ago and painted skillfully after snipping it off from the little factory printer thing she made. It didn't quite work out right and she's torturing it now. And she looks at the camera and then holds the lighter up, and in that bright flame it turns to white. Hello, I am JB. Most of you know me as @DropTheDie, and you can find me @DropTheDie on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Coffee, Patreon, OnlyFans, Vampire Freaks, LinkedIn. Just type it in. It's also a great coupon for most of your favorite stores. Drop the Die. Ad is usually 10 to 15%. Give it a shot. I make and create tabletop stuff, and I have 3 modules or 4 modules coming with the Kickstarter release. I can't remember how many I did now.
I think you have 3, if I'm remembering
I have
correctly.
3.
Yeah.
3 coming out. 3 missions coming out in the new Kickstarter release. I'm very excited for you all to check it out. It was wonderful to write for this. I love this system, and you should check it out, and you should play it.
Awesome. Thank you, JB. Barker, go ahead.
And the white void that is created after Zasha's outro, it dissolves into a beach, a sunny beach with the waves rolling, and we're playing beach volleyball with the hedgehogs, and Mora's a captain of one of the teams, and the volleyball is a fusion grenade that's going back and forth and back and forth. And then Mora goes up to hit it, but then it gets spiked by a hedgehog right next to him, and then he wakes up and there it is, and boom, he's in the fight again, and the whole thing keeps repeating and repeating and repeating into eternity somehow. That's how long this credit sequence is, and it says Barker on the screen next to a hedgehog. Actually, it's hung around the hedgehog's neck, and Mora steals the lanyard off and puts it on Mora, played by Barker. And I'm Inspire the Barks on Twitter, and I really enjoy this game and the missions that so many awesome people, including I'm like Matt wrote. I think, did everyone write one? I've lost track of all the freelancers who have written missions, but
so of the Paladins, JB and Matt wrote missions.
Okay, all right, cool.
And
well,
Aaron and John are credited as playtesters because they helped us test all this shit out.
Yeah.
Sick.
Listen, dude, it's not too late either. Oh man. This book is so awesome. The system is really awesome. And this game has been a really cool way not just to play out anime stuff, but to learn about these tropes, because I'm relatively new to a lot of this stuff, and it's just been fun learning and hanging out with you friends.
Awesome. Aaron, go ahead.
The aforementioned hedgehog spins wildly and turns into what can only be described as a snowball, because that is what it is. As the snowball careens ever onward into the back of Zasha's head, and she looks back to see like Mattie for just a second, who like ducks behind a pine tree, and Zasha throws makes a snowball, throws it towards the pine tree. All of the snow falls off, and there is and Zasha goes around to see that Mattie has become a snowman, and he springs out, and there's like a pause, and then there's like a laugh between the two of them, and and then sort of passing us by are like the other paladins as they are skiing down this slope. And as one of them skids, there's just a big blanket of white. And we are all at the chalet in a hot tub drinking cocoa together. And the steam rises and grays out the screen.
Awesome.
Oh,
Okay.
and I'm Aaron.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry. I put so much energy into that.
And it was so good. It really paid off.
I'm Aaron. Aaron DVS on Twitter and all social media platforms. I don't do quite as many RPG stuff as the people here, but I love playing them. I love talking about them, and I love I love sharing this game with these people. This has been such an exciting and new game for me. I'm so glad that we're playing it. I hope to do more of it. Maybe in this with this group or in other things. But either way, love this game. Love this group of players. And thank you all for showing up and watching us.
Absolutely. Okay, Matt, go ahead. No.
This has been an all
One
night
more for good measure, man.
this
Yeah,
time.
listen, that Kickstarter for the mute me button, I think, is still up. If anyone wants,
I
one.
mean, like, I'm starting to lap you doing it, man. What's
You're
going on?
laughing at me. I didn't do it at all this session. I didn't do
I
it one
know.
time.
Okay. So I'm Matt Brown, the other Matts. I love this game, Mecha Hack. I did do some writing for it. What I was able to do, and I look forward to that. But also, I just look forward to concluding an awesome game with awesome people. It's so rare that you see an ending to a campaign, let alone one you enjoy as much as this one. So kudos to everybody for sticking it out and, you know, finding something awesome to do with each other during what's going on in the world. In my closing credit scene, I think I will take a page from 08 MS team and have a guy reading essentially, but it's not a guy, it's Tulip. She's sitting on like a wooden stump, a tree stump by a river, as a like dragon boat of the Okami is going down the river, and all the paladins are like chasing it on, and there is a competing dragon boat with Calypso and Warhawk chasing it on, and are chanting together, while she is like reading through like a stapled together scrapbook of drawings, and it's all of the times we've had. It's the people on the Nova Locust. It was the fighting the giant Leviathan in space, the seizing of Infernus, the royal ceremonies, and then right beside her, scribbling away on a fresh piece of paper showing this battle we're in now, is a hedgehog, a little artisanal hedgehog, artsy hedgehog. He is not artisanal. Anyway, this has been Paladins, and yeah, thanks for including me.
Absolutely. Okay, and last but certainly not least, John, take us home, man.
So Pax is kind of watching everything unfold, kind of in this like small pocket moment where the commander is kind of gone into the lava, and everybody is kind of, it looks almost like a desperate situation, but in his mind, he's still like going through all the things that he's kind of seen in this moment of what he feels is like pointless violence. Like, it doesn't really feel like they're moving in a direction that he can see. And as he's looking at the death that's kind of around them, the volcano, all the people inside that are probably going to die, the corpses of the clones, he goes through his own personal life and sees the face of his mother and father before they are shot to death, and then the faces of the people that he killed trying to gain vengeance, and then the faces of the commander when she was killed, and the faces of the others as they killed them, and the death goes on and on and on. And as he looks out at this moment, he can't figure out what it is he's supposed to be fighting for, and in a very Gundam anime moment kind of verbalizes that and says, what is it that we need? What are we fighting for? What are we trying to achieve? And he kind of thinks back, and if he dies here, and if all of this is for naught, he knows that at the very least, somebody out there should have the answer. And it kind of switches to him looking at a picture of his family, which goes off into the distance of the universe back to Infernus, where his uncle has a messenger come in and says, "Sir, we just got a message from your nephew." And when he reads it, there's a line there that says, "Look into this. This is all that matters." And it's all the information that he's kind of cleaned up from the system. If they don't make it through this, he just wants somebody to have the information needed. I'm John. You can catch me on YouTube talking about RPG stuff and my dumb thoughts on them at Out of Character. And you can catch me playing dumb video games on Facebook at not Out of Character, Doombot Gaming. But yeah, this system is like in my top 5 favorite RPG systems of all time, probably. It's like it's so good, and I feel like it is like light enough that you can have all this cool narrative dopeness happen without the rules intruding on it. But at the same time, there's enough rules where you feel like you can strategically like plan out your
Choices
character and
matter.
stuff.
Yeah.
You know, it still feels like a game. It's not just a group of people telling a story, but there is enough mechanical freedom for you to express yourself in the game without being bogged down. And that is something I really look for in RPG systems. So especially in a mech system. So I've had such a great time. It's a pleasure to be here. And also this is one of the few campaigns I might finish, so happy about that.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you so much. That means so much that it's in your top 5. That it feels really cool. So thank you.
John and I actually jinxed each other in the
Yeah.
chat for the
Oh,
video.
yeah?
We were like top 5 RPGs, like one after
Oh.
the other at the same
Yeah.
time.
Shit, that's awesome. I missed that. Oh my god. Okay, cool. Very cool. Well, shit. Thank you guys, and thanks everyone for tuning in and watching. As I said, this campaign has been an absolute blast to run, and it really is like a bucket list item for me. Just like, it's not a Gundam campaign, but it is like inspired by all the stuff that I like about Gundam set in, you know, my own setting. So it's been a real joy. So thanks everyone. Catch us again in a couple weeks, and we're gonna wrap this campaign up. I can't believe it. We'll catch you next time on Mecha Hack Paladins. Take care. Happy gaming all. Stay safe, stay healthy. We'll catch you next time.